Yes,
Honourable
Carlos
Speaker,
Ferreira.
I will speak on demand number 7, which is settlement and land records. In Goa, we see every week and nearly every day of land scams which are coming and people filing cases of land grabs. Important thing which has been happening is they don't happen just with private parties, they are happening with the government officials. And which government officials? They are the mamladars, the deputy collectors and the staff of these offices. There are, in my belief, there are officers who are specially being seated there to find out which properties are available, to get the land records and to start giving these land records to people so as to bring buyers and to try to sell off the land to other people. In sale deed korta shona ek Aadhaar and biometrics kortat te. But when it comes for mutation, kai na te. In mutation, kon application korta? एक एड्रेस दिता नोटीस कोणा वयता आमी नेनात आनी मागीर म्युटेशन जातात मनशा फाटल्यान इट्स नॉट योर फॉल्ट बट इट्स अ सिस्टम फॉल्ट यू अंडरस्टँडिंग वॉट आय एम सेइंग सो आई थिंक दैट these large scale frauds of saying notice sent, notice unclaimed, notice person can't be found, because mutation in the survey form you only have a name, you don't have an address. Sometimes property may be in village A, that person may be living in city or maybe another village or maybe living abroad. So where do you serve the notice? And I will tell you another thing. Sometimes भायर रावता जाल्यार strategy कितें हिंग गोंय रावता म्हूण दाखोवपाचें कित्याक मागीर नोटीस थिंग UK USA धाडपा जाय पब्लीश खंय कोतलो पब्लिकेशन थिंग करूं जाय सामकें मारोग जातलें आनी you have to publish in the district where he is residing. You can't publish in one city and he stays in another place. So एश कोन्न फ्रॉड जाता लोक मागीर गोंय येता तेन्ना सडनली आनी कोण आसा तेंगे घरांत and this is the way then battles are fought and तो झगडटा कोरा भितर वचपाक दुसरो येयलो आनी घरांत रावता. So I have a suggestion that whenever you are doing application for mutations or for partitions in land revenue records, there are two things which should be done. One is ask them for other details so that you know where you can make it compulsory by amending the rules. Let any notice which is being served, if it comes back not served, you should ask for publication in the newspaper. And also, if he says, let us say, he stays in Aldona village, in the panchayat office it should also be pasted, and also in the collectorate or the deputy collector's mamladar's notice board it should be pasted, so that even the locals will know, okay, this property of this place. And one more thing, if the property, let us say, is of Nationala being sold, in that village panchayat also should be there. He may be a resident of Aldona, but property of Nationala. Do you understand what I am saying? So if this gives a wider coverage and people can say, oh, he's here, he's there, even people can come forward and help say that the man is there or not. Otherwise, behind the back somebody's property is sold. I also ask that there should be a verification system by a superior. Like when a survey entry has to be certified, you have a procedure. It is certified by a superior. So if this kind of cases, I'm not talking of cases where people appear and we don't have to waste time, but when people are absent, I would suggest that you have a system of verification by some superior officer that the procedural requirements are complied. And I can assure you that 80% of these kind of frauds taking place will be minimized. I have another question. We have land records which are being made. Why don't you allow a provision in our land records, but not made public, to keep the address of the people? Tomorrow I want to give my address. So if any notice is to be issued to me, it will come to my address. I can also change my address if I change my place. But don't make it public because your privacy gets invaded. It can be with the department. Like as you have a PAN card. PAN card has but no details are there, but it has a number. Therefore, you can see that ED has booked many cases of such land grabs where even the officials are made parties. There are FIRs registered and where the department has found it. My question is, what have you done in respect of those officers who are prima facie found guilty in multiple cases. I'm not taking single. Once somebody can slip, once somebody may err, therefore he is also booked. I'm not talking of those. When there are multiple cases of overnight in 24 hours mutations being done, in 24 hours, you and I go there, we will stand in line for months together. So my second thing is, why do these cases not have a fixed timeline? And it is only we Goans that we are having this problem that for years our mutation is going on, years partition is going on. But somebody who comes from outside in flashy vehicles with a lot of money, overnight he gets mutation, overnight he gets partition. It's so fast for him, but why not for us? Another aspect now is on the failure to partition land acquired. Whenever land is acquired, सरकाराचे जमीन नाव वता सर्वे फॉर्माचेर पूण कितें करतात मागीर ओनर आसा ओरिजिनल ओनर आनी सरकाराचें नांव आसता मागीर आमी कितें करूंक गेले जाल्यार एक घर बांदूंक गेले जाल्यार दुरी घालूंक जाय जाल्यार NOC from the department is required. I am the owner. You have only entered a part of my property, but I have to ask your NOC. You understanding how it becomes? So why should we ask that department for an NOC? Why should they not partition the land and keep it separate? You're only entering with a mutation. Please go ahead for the partition and you can protect your land in this way. It identifies and separates. Third aspect is cadastral survey records. We have cadastral survey record before Land Revenue Code came. So Portuguese time, and I know that cadastral survey was not completed throughout Goa. But wherever cadastral survey is available, why don't you ask the department, survey department? Many of us go to the survey department to correlate the cadastral survey with the land survey. So why don't you ask them to keep one other section which can get uploaded, that this is cadastral survey number and this is your other survey number. Today what is happening in land records, they say land not registered, not inscribed in the matris, and end up selling our properties which are otherwise registered with people's names. So if this cadastral survey can correlate and available online, I think that will be much better and control this. Alvara lands, there are two parts of it. One is lands which are granted under Decree 3602 of 1917 and Alvara grants. There is an amendment to the Land Revenue Code which has made these kind of grants occupant class 2. They are not occupant class 1. So they are occupant class 2. I think that department should update this so that you don't lose land, or these Alvara lands should not be sold without the prior consent of the collector, because that's the provision required for prior consent of collector. Otherwise, one passes to the other. And I have seen from 1953, I have seen a case which has come to me, where now people have sold it over 4 persons have passed. Genuinely, it's not no frauds. They have passed it down, but I don't see any consent of the collector except in the first one. So that is then the problem comes. Now they're trying to certify the legality of the land. That's becoming a difficulty. Now, I've already spoken about this inaction against government officers. Now I will speak about demand number 15, Collectorate North Goa. Let me say one thing, because for me here Collectorate North Goa is connected, but certain issues will be common for North and South Goa. First, as far as Collectorate North Goa, I have a word of praise for our former collector, Mamu Hage, who is no more here now, but she was very good and very efficient. Yashaswani also, who was here previously, I must commend what work she did and the speed in which she was doing. And there is now a young officer called Ankit Yadav. I think he's a present collector here. I went and met him the other day in respect with an issue which I will tell you now what it is. It's regarding disaster management, and I must say he was very good and he was very efficient, immediately understood the problem and gave the directions. When it comes to cutting of trees under disaster management, he is the authority under Disaster Management Act. Our fire brigade department, कित म्हणटा, झाड पडले जाल्यार आमी काट कोटले. झाड उबा जाल्यार आमच्यान काट करूंक जायना. But tree is leaning dangerously. पडपा आसा. लोक मोडटलो, घर मोडटले. Why should it not be cut? So when I met him, he said, yes, we are giving instructions. And that tree was cut, no problem. I don't want it as a special favor that I go, I ask, or I must make a request. It should be across the board. So this would be helping. Look, you see, in front of the collector also North Goa, the tree only fell down. So it should not happen that we should have a fatality, somebody dying, or the loss of life or property. So I think if these kind of instructions can be incorporated in your disaster management scheme itself, I think it will work across the state. And this is not just I'm talking of North Goa. That's why I said it applies to both. Second part is about flying squads. Flying squads, we have got one flying squad in the collectorate in North Goa. So I assume we will have one like this similarly in South Goa. But there's rampant hill cutting going on, rampant deforestation going on, rampant landfilling going on. And this happens generally on the weekends or sometimes late in the evening or in the night. When you call up that helpline, sometimes you don't get through. I have to be calling some particular officer and then connecting and then 2-3 people and finally somebody picks up, and by the time the team can assemble and can come, that person has disappeared, vehicle also has disappeared and no one is available. They sometimes come with JCBs to do work, but everything is gone. My demand is, when these shady things happen like this, why don't you set up teams at headquarters of the talukas? Not centralize everything in Panjim. In Bardez you can have in Mapsa. I think Satari can be for Walpoi and whether each one, taluka-wise I'm talking. Or in Bishwali you can have one. So at least immediately they can go and stop. I'm not saying, and then they can seize machinery, whatever can be done. It will be faster and more prompt. Plus they know the locality. Otherwise, you tell them it's and so Wado and of so and so village, they are searching where it is. By the time they reach, everybody has disappeared. Everyone is alerted also sometimes. So, we have had case of hill cutting which took place in Ikoshi. We had case, now you can see Asagaon is being done. The people of Ikoshi had to go to the court to stop this work which was being done by someone very high and mighty. And everything was being done in shady manners. So I believe that these flying squads, if they are available at the taluka headquarters, and also a system for tracking the receipt of the calls. Because it should not be that call number 1, 2, 3 were skipped, but call number 4 was attended. Because we don't know why and how, and for what reason 1, 2, 3 may have been skipped. So you're understanding what I'm saying. So you have a system where you keep logs of all these type of demands. In revenue department, demand number 33, I will only ask that the conversion sanad should not be delayed, because a delay in anything, whether it's conversion sanad or any license and all of us to be issued, leads to corruption. Delay also causes another pain to the applicant. What is the kind of pain which is there? New rate which comes in, comes effective, and that person has to pay the new rate. It's not the date of your application, but the date when it's granted. So finally what happens is, who has to bear the cost is the applicant. If the delay is by these officers who are supposed to be due, I would feel these officers should pay that difference. Let them pay and know what it costs. Otherwise, people will be standing there in line paying bribe and trying to get things fast. And you will not know anything about it. At the low level, they will do all these frauds they will do, and these criminals will get away enriching themselves. So I believe that these type of things should be, and when you say that they will be responsible, I can assure you they will expedite every application. Next is about Comunidad lands being sold fraudulently. I had shown you about lands in Asagaon last time. There's also lands in Anjuna which people have brought to my notice. Same group of people. It's not, I can understand one case, another case, but there's a gang, I would say, of people who are specializing in grabbing lands of the comunidades by first claiming that they are tenants of the land, then doing settlements with the comunidad. And I'm sure Honorable Minister is aware, the recent Supreme Court judgment which dismissed the claim for doing the 60-40 of the TV comunidad, which according to my view is a fraud. If you are a tenant, you are a tenant, nothing more. And you should enjoy as a tenant. and the law has given you the protection, you enjoy it as a tenant. How do you make a claim? You enter your name first. That means your name entry itself must have been fraudulent. Then you go to work out a settlement. Who eats what in the process, and the builder comes and takes your land and takes his land. And you say, okay, both will enjoy it freehold. How can it be? It can't be this way. And then you say, no, but we are going to get some revenue for the comunidad. No. If the law says the tenant has to be protected, we'll protect the tenant. But you can't allow this kind of frauds to take place. They are also doing one more thing, as I mentioned last time. It was during archives time, but it is also relevant for revenue. They are bringing documents of 1951 and 52 which don't exist. And they are showing that some order was given by the governor in respect of this comunidad, or in that period, because pages of books of that from archives are missing. And they are fabricating these kind of records and showing. What I would ask, Honorable Minister, is that put a note of caution. I know that when you decide in an adjudicatory matter, you cannot impose directions then, but put a note of caution that when any claims are being made with these documents in the background, to please have them checked. Regularization of unauthorized constructions. Honorable Speaker, you will remember when Manohar Parrikar was there as the Chief Minister, he had brought a law in 2001 to regularize land on encroachments on comunidad lands. Article 372A he had brought. The process started, and I don't know for what reason the process stopped. I think if you had finished the process and given relief, lots of people today would have been in a happy situation. They are having a lot of problem because you first collected the application, you got the documentation, you collected the fee. Only maybe a handful of, I think maybe less than 10 who got regularized.
Two or three.
Two, that's what I was thinking, it was 2 or 3. Got regularized and nothing more. Why did it happen? Why could it not go ahead? There were some comunidades willing to come and say, yes, we are ready to, we'll take this much fee and we'll do it. But I don't know why, what happened and why the entire system stopped. I know that there was two views are possible on it, but if the comunidad is ready and willing, why don't you?
We are coming up with an amendment.
You are coming with that amendment. See, otherwise what happens, you all came out with a 2016 Regularization Act, Unauthorized Regulation Act. You all had...
2014. 2014.
16 it was, yeah. Act.
But from 2014 is the date.
And in that, you all had 8,000 applications, 8,300 to be precise, which you charged 10,000 rupees, which means the government made 8 crores 30 lakhs. And I don't believe any good number were regularized.
No, many were regularized.
How many?
And it's still going on.
So they should have been finished. You would have removed them off the burden from these irregular or illegal houses. I think they should not stop, and you should expedite and finish it. People's tension, everything over. Imagine one generation, somebody dies, the next generation, number of children increase, and then the fights happen.
We are going to open the window system, window also for that.
Just proceed extension. So that to dispose. There are most people you will find even their own houses, in their own plots of land, they would have done some irregularity, maybe not got permission, just go ahead. Why the headache of town planning and this and that? Just regularize, collect the fee and finish it. I think it will be over. We have a lot of land in my constituency from Mapsa, which is in Shetewada, Pede, and also in Akoi near the forest checkpost. Then we have Bastora, Nashnola, Aldona, Sainagar and Ramtola, which have got comunidad settlements on comunidad land, huge ones. And then you are going to come now with, because of this High Court order, and do it. So I want a proper legislation, not a legislation just to keep them like again, collect their data, collect their fee, and finally after this ZP election and our assembly election, they'll go for demolition. It should not happen that.
Nothing to do with elections, sir, but we are coming with an amendment next week.
No, I'm not saying you're bringing the law because of election. You're bringing...
No, not because of election. We need to genuinely regularize their houses. Because I believe we don't have any right as far as the comunidad is concerned. Yes. It is comunidad actually who has got to manage their own property.
Enable it.
Yeah.
Enable.
Yeah, we are doing it. When the legislation comes, then after we can...
Yesterday you have brought only a law...
That is for one.
For government properties.
For government, but we are coming up with...
That's what I did.
Will become.
Yes. And just circulate in advance so that we know exactly.
Yes.
If there are suggestions we have to make, we can make some amendments also. And North Goa Comunidad, one in Mapsa, the records are in shambles. There's no proper indexing in the building itself requires overall. We need to preserve those records because many of the records speak many things about the village. You need to even digitalize these records and make them available online because again, either they're made to disappear or pages are made to disappear. And sometimes we are at the mercy of some people over there. We're bringing some retired person back over there because nobody else knows how to read the Portuguese language and find the records. And he knows where it is, others don't know. Even handing over charge, still other people don't know where it is. Because then these kind of things should not happen where some records are hidden. Next, I will just run through construction debris. Because you will have to make some place for this construction debris. Others people are just dumping on the roadside.
Yeah,
I've identified some plots, I think, in Visholi and all that. Yes. But I would like that you should have more, otherwise it's becoming a nuisance. Cerula Comunidad, there is an appointment of a clerk, which I've been informed that this clerk is not appointed by the administrator, not even, it is appointed purely by the Comunidad. And I don't know how, in what provision and he's drawing salary directly from the Comunidad. It's not the manner in which it is being paid. Because then there is no, if there is no such kind of a control, administrative control by the administrator, service rules don't apply, then he is a free bird. You understand what I'm saying? And we need to put these kind of things in check so that such type of private operators don't enter to do shady things. And in fact, he is even conducting meetings. And now, because some RTI question was asked, I'm told that the actual one who is appointed has come and started sitting in the office along with him. It should not happen. Just last. And you don't just cutting of trees in the panchayats. I already spoken about the trees. Under disaster management, they came, they identified trees, they marked the trees, but nobody went and cut the trees. It started falling afterwards. So please make sure on that. On the labor, demand number 52, you have this labor welfare funding and building and other construction workers act. You have two things about it. One is sales you collect, I think, at 1% of the construction fee. 1%. How do you pay to these people? There's no payment. I think so. There's no payment because you have already carried out. But those workers who come, like those Goans and all who come, they go away. They are sometimes seasonal. They come, they go. So whom do you give this money?
There are certain schemes. I'll explain.
Yes. And compliance of labor laws.
Yes.
It's not just in industries, but also in shops and establishments. You need to see that there's due compliance because proper provisions for the workers, proper resting room, resting time. So these things. And in employment, I made one suggestion last time, but I didn't get an answer specifically about that notification qua private establishments under the employment exchange rule. Because there is nothing, no pain to the government, there is no financial implication. You only notify them to notify you at the employment exchange about the jobs which they have.
Yeah.
Because your amendment relating to the job fairs is still awaiting presidential assent. A statement was made, we fined some people.
We fined.
But I don't know how you can fine when the law is not law. Your bill is still a bill, it's not a law. Somebody paid, take it as a gift. I'm not going to say anything more. And last two things I will speak of, vocational courses and skills. What is happening is, our ITIs and all, they are teaching all things, but labor department should come out with some vocational skills with match with the industry which we are setting up. Otherwise, you are teaching, let us say you are teaching tailoring, and there are no tailors wanted there. So how do you match this kind of things? Because that's your department, we should go out as even certificate courses, whatever can be given, they'll be useful and they can be employed. And the last is, we had to do something to attract our talent. Otherwise, what happens? People get qualified, people get some experience, and eventually first thing they go on the boat or they go abroad. So we don't want a brain drain. So this is what my request is, and I'm obliged.
Thank you.